Welcome to New York's number two sports show. The Rangers lose to the Edmonton Oilers by a score of 6-2 and finish the road trip with a 2-2 record and look really bad doing so in losses to Calgary and Edmonton. This is actually the first set of back-to-back losses for the Rangers this season. So they dropped to 12-6-1, and this just really wasn't a very competitive game by the Rangers, point blank. And again, they get outshot early and often. Oilers outshoot the Rangers 21-9 in the first period. And the Rangers were never really in this game. I mean, Jonathan Quick was in net, did the best he could to kind of keep it scoreless for a while. And then the dam breaks at the end of the first period. Rangers were down to nothing for a good amount of time in the second, and then that period ends 4-0, not 4-0, but 4-1. But yeah, ultimately, Rangers really were just outplayed by Edmonton, and I didn't feel great about the fact that the Oilers were coming in on a 2-game losing streak. Not that that's the end all be all, but this is a good Edmonton team that was hungry for the win, and they got it. And again, there was more um, intensity from the Edmonton Oilers than there was from the Rangers. Rangers didn't come out ready to go, and yeah, that was kind of just the way it was in this game. As far as lineup changes, Zach Jones actually did not play in this game due to an upper body injury. Definitely one that kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. And they called up Victor Mancini and placed him in the lineup. So even though Chad Ruedel was the healthy scratch seventh defenseman, Mancini, they call him up and takes the long trip out west just for one game. And that was a tough spot to put him in. And look, he didn't do particularly well. Him and Braden Schneider were not very good, and they weren't alone. But I like the fact that they want to try to give him as much NHL time as they can. And the reason why they sent him down wasn't because of poor play, but because they don't want to just continue to sit him. Although my argument to that would be there's other players that are certainly deserving of being a healthy scratch, but tough spot for the kid, and he didn't really do too well. And then for the forwards, it was the same. Bradzinski back to being the third line center after at the end of the Calgary game, he was demoted to the fourth line and they moved Veazey up. So that meant that Filipino was out again. So that one's another curious thing for me where, like, what was the point of having Heedle join the team if he wasn't going to play? It's a good sign overall, the fact that he was able to do that. And I think it probably meant a lot for him to be there with the group. But I definitely would have thought that he would have gotten a game. So again, just a little bit odd. I don't think it really means much in the long run, but I hope to certainly see him back in the lineup sooner than later. But I guess we can't say that with any certainty at this point. And Jonathan Quick being in net was a hunch that I had that came true, and it made sense to do it. And really, the one goal that I think that was not so good on his part was goal number 2 by I believe it was Darnell Nurse. Yep, Darnell Nurse. That was really, to me, the goal that would have, even though the Rangers really didn't have much going anyway, but if they were to get something going, that one I think took the winds out of their sails, and that was it. So again, the Ranger record is good. 12-6-1 is really good. If you're to extrapolate that, in an 82 game season, that's going to come out to a very good record. However, you watch this team and they're not impressive. They're just not. And I think that you got to be a little bit concerned. I think in the long run of it all, and to me, it goes back to the core of this team. And we've seen this from them where it kind of feels like it's a country club environment where they will do the right things in certain situations. And what we've seen when there's been a new head coach, that seems to spark them. But then that message kind of runs dry. And again, it's not even Laviolette's fault. In my opinion, it's a matter of the team. Although obviously Laviolette deserves blame because it is his job to able to get them going and to not have these flat starts. But to me, the constant is the players that we've been accustomed to seeing for years now, right? I mean, this core has pretty much been in place. I would say really the 1920 season, which was David Quinn's, I think that was year 2 for David Quinn. Let me think about that for a second. Yes, year 2 for him. That is where a lot of these, core pieces come into play. You already had Kreider and Zibanejad in place. But that was the first year for Artemi Panarin as a Ranger, Jacob Trouba, Adam Fox, Capo Caco. Filipino had already been there, but his role was still kind of evolving on the team at that time. So that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make, is that this has been, give or take, 5 years of the mainstays being there. And I just think I don't really see it changing. And it's too bad that in the offseason they were unable to move out one of the key pieces. I'm not saying that they needed to just completely tear it down and make crazy changes, but come on, like Barkley Goodrow out, Riley Smith in, as really being your only truly consequential shakeup, honestly. And there's a couple of other really smaller things, but that's just not enough. Not even close to enough. And so what happens at the trade deadline? Probably things, but probably nothing that's really going to move the needle. And so it would have just been good, I think, if you could have somehow, and I know they tried, but were unsuccessful, clearly, at least getting rid of like Trouba, for example. I think, because let's be realistic with ourselves. Like even like Mika Zibanejad's contract is not one that's really easily movable at all. It just isn't. And Trouba's is not easy either. But with him only having, now 1 year left on his deal after this season, it could have in theory gotten done. But he has a say in that, and I'm pretty sure that he would not waive his no movement clause, or thereabouts. So again, this game was one that in the past, I feel like the Rangers have gone to Edmonton and have at least been competitive. And so very disappointing. I think 3-1 was very, very attainable in this 4-game situation. To go 2-2 is honestly disappointing, especially after winning the first two. I know Calgary's been playing pretty good hockey, but that was a very winnable game that Rangers basically played like shit in for most of that game. And this one as well. Usually the Rangers are good at responding. Didn't happen here. And simply put, Edmonton has the skill to match the Rangers. And if they're going to play with more tenacity, the Rangers are in trouble. So let's just start getting into, what happens here. And like I said, it was scoreless for a while, but Jonathan Quick was really doing everything he could to keep it that way. And then at 17:34, it would be Podkolzin, scoring his first goal of the season from Draisaitl and Brown. So Podkolzin, the former first-round pick by the Canucks, scores the goal. It's a situation where Artemi Panarin falls down in the offensive zone, and that leads to a little bit of an odd-man rush. And that's the thing that I've been saying is the Rangers really getting beaten in these transition opportunities. And Schneider and Mancini were unable to kind of stop the pass and stop the shot by Podkolzin. So they were just, I'm not going to say completely out of position, but like closing the gaps. They were unable to do that there. And so Podkolzin was able to get a shot clean, and it was a good shot past Quick to make it 1-0. And then to me, here's the backbreaker. At 18:57, Kulak holds Capo Caco. But with 9 seconds left in the period, Darnell Nurse scores his third goal of the season. It's a shorthanded goal assisted by Janmark and Brown. And here was one where the Oilers clear it. I guess it must have been Janmark that used his speed. Let me just see something for a second here. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, Janmark. For some reason, I thought it might have been Nugent Hopkins, but I guess it was Janmark that was the one that goes around the net. And, again, Fox doesn't really have the speed to keep up. But, again, like, this is a situation that should be easily defended. Vincent Trocheck kind of falls down in the corner. I'm not sure how much of a role that had in the goal, but it probably didn't help. And Darnell Nurse ends up being all alone with an Oiler in the mix. It might have been Connor Brown. That might have been the one that was like, using himself as a possible passing option. Nurse decides to take the shot himself, and he scores 5-hole past Quick. So bad all around, because it really was a shot that should have been stopped by Quick, but like just kind of a disaster, the fact that he even had that opportunity in the first place. So that makes it 2-0 Edmonton, and really at that point, Rangers were in major trouble. Now, Rangers Start of the second period, things were a little bit better, although Jacob Trouba slashes Leon Draisaitl at 136. Rangers kill that off. At 7:42, Rangers get a power play. Derek Ryan slashes Johnny Brodzinski, but then 20 seconds into that, Trocheck hooks Janmark. So the Ranger power play goes away instantly, and it's a 4-on-4. And on that 4-on-4, the Oilers score. And it's a goal by Leon Draisaitl, a 16th goal of the season, assisted by Connor McDavid. And this was a play where Will Cooley shoots the puck wide on a wrist shot, and Lafreniere and Keandre Miller are unable to get back. And so it's a 2-on-1 with Trouba as the only one back between Draisaitl and McDavid. Think about that combination, and so it should not be surprising to know that they are able to make a nice passing play. There's no Trouba can't stop it, and Draisaitl makes it 3-0. Then at 11:58, the Oilers make it 4-0 on a goal by Evan Bouchard, his sixth goal of the season, assisted by Janmark and Adam Henrique. So this was one where Jacob Trouba is unable to clear it out of the zone, and it ends up in the back of the Rangers' net. And again, on plays like this, you have players fly, and I understand when you're down by 3 that you're going to try to get a little bit aggressive, but just it's such a theme, regardless of the score, that you have these Rangers players just trying to cheat and trying to, get the offensive opportunity instead of playing it straight in the defensive zone. Rangers are playing a really, really, really poor defensive game in general, just all the way around. That's losing hockey. And last season, we saw the Rangers playing very structurally sound for the most part. You're not seeing that this season. And so a Trouba turnover, where you have, basically Panarin flying out of the zone, Lafreniere flying out of the zone, it ends up as a goal for Edmonton, makes it 4-0. The Rangers are able to score a goal in the second. Artemi Panarin scores his 11th goal of the season, assisted by Adam Fox at 15:02. And this was a play where Panarin causes a turnover. He gets the puck over to Fox, who gives it back to Panarin with a lot of room, and it trickles past the Oiler goalie, Stuart Skinner. So, it wasn't really a great goal by him, but also like a pretty prime chance. I guess in some ways it's similar to the Darnell Nurse goal, where it's one that should have been stopped, but also like not great defensive coverage. And so that makes it 4-1. We go to the third period, and Connor McDavid scores at 5:49 to give the Oilers a 5-1 lead, assisted by Bouchard and Kapanen. And this was a play where Kapanen takes it around the net. And he passes to Bouchard at the point. McDavid's basically left wide open in front and scores. This is a combination of the Zibanejad line plus Schneider and Mancini. That wouldn't be the last time that we would see that combination be on against for a goal, because at 9:37, McDavid scores again. Second goal of the night, 11th goal of the season, assisted by Stetcher. And this was one where, again, a turnover, in the Rangers zone, they bring it back the other way. McDavid shows tons of patience and scores. Another sort of highlight reel goal for Connor McDavid. And I believe the turnover was made by Riley Smith initially. McDavid uses his speed to get past Zibanejad. Mancini's like the only one back, and he can't do anything about it. And again, Schneider way up in the play, not helping at all. So that makes it 6-1. And then at 10:22, Derek Ryan holds Adam Edstrom. Rangers don't score on that power play. And then Ryan Lindgren cross-checks Drake Kajula, and the Rangers call that one off. And then the Rangers do score a goal. It's Panarin again. At 16:29, it's Panarin, second of the night, 12th of the season, assisted by Alexis Lafreniere. So it was a turnover by Lafreniere. He finds Panarin, who is able to score. But it didn't matter. Edmonton wins at 6-2. So Rangers should be and probably are very disappointed in this outcome and the way they've been playing. And again, as bad as things were, they actually had not lost. I hadn't even really thought of that they had not lost 2 in a row, because it felt that way at certain points. But here they finally do. And now they'll head home to take on the St. Louis Blues. And the thing with that matchup is the Blues, I believe, have not won a game of regulation in 9 chances. So 9 straight games of 0 regulation wins. They have not been playing particularly well lately, and really not a team that's probably expected to make the playoffs. However, it certainly is a team that is no joke. And, Pavel Buchnevich will, presumably do his thing for St. Louis against his former Ranger club. But yeah, we'll see. Look, it can be tough. That first game back from a long trip can be tricky, but there's really no excuses with the Rangers. With the way the Rangers have played, they got to come out strong, and hopefully they can turn things around. But yeah, this is not the way you want to be playing. And if they play like this, come playoff time, they'll be out of there immediately. So obviously, it's November, so no need to completely panic. But if we're being honest with ourselves, it's just play that is it doesn't bode well. It really doesn't, and it's an attitude thing. And they seem like a very, very easy team to play against. But hopefully, with them coming home, they'll be able to turn things around. So again, it's a disappointing end to the Western Canadian trip. They lose to the Edmonton Oilers by a score of 6-2.